Yokai Watch is in a strange place. While on the surface it seems like another attempt to cash in on the Pokemon formula, Yokai Watch is barely the same outside of befriending a wide range of cool, cute, and downright silly monsters. While the original game didn't make the huge impact that it had in Japan, it still did well enough to warrant a localization of the sequel, which comes in two varieties, Bony Spirits and Fleshy Souls. When I played the original game, I found it to be fun, if frustrating at times, so I was curious whether my issues would be addressed. Yokai Watch 2 picks up shortly after the end of the first game, and it's now summer vacation. While your character is sleeping, two mysterious yokai steal your yokai watch, as well as your memories of yokai. But it isn't long until you rediscover the watch and meet up with both Whisper the yokai butler and the lovable Jibanyan. The first few chapters serve as a kind of refresher, both reintroducing you to the world of yokai and unlocking the various areas of Springdale. This makes it very easy for newcomers to jump right in, as there really aren't any references to the first game, just that these characters have met before. But returning players might have an issue with all this, as these story beats can feel like deja vu. Much of it feels like speeding through the opening bits of the first game while introducing a few new elements within Springdale. Things don't feel like they truly open up though until the story moves to the new town of Harrisville. It's here that the main thrust of the story is introduced, and it feels much more cohesive than the original game. Where that was more episodic in nature as each one featured a new yokai, the sequel has a story to tell. Players will learn the history of the Yokai Watch while putting a stop to an internal struggle between the yokai. It's simple, but still engaging because the characters are so endearing. And once again, I find that to be one of Yokai Watch 2's greatest strengths. You become attached to the characters, and everything plays out like it's a Saturday morning cartoon. Cheesy, yet fun. And there are more yokai to meet than ever in this game, with many continuing the silly puns, toilet humor, and Japanese myths of the original. They all fit in quite well. The gameplay is mostly the same with some additions and changes. Battles consist of 6 yokai on your team, with 3 out front who fight automatically. While you don't have direct control, you can guide the team to target specific enemies, shift others into battle, and activate their ultimate moves. The simple battles can even be sped up so the fights never feel like a chore, and the boss fights can get pretty intense with you managing your team. Items can also be used to either heal your team or court the enemy yokai to become your friends. Unfortunately, this is still one of the areas where I feel the game flounders. In these types of games, I want every creature on my side as soon as I see them. But in Yokai Watch, you have to figure out what food they prefer through trial and error, and even then hope they decide to join you. It's not so bad with the more common yokai, but it's aggravating when they're rare. Fortunately, there are plenty of yokai that can join you automatically throughout the story, or can be obtained through the Crankakai, but it still felt like an annoyance. Battles have received some changes though, most significantly with the Yokai Watch Model 0. With this, your yokai can use Moxie versions of their ultimate moves, powering them up immensely. But this also drains the soul energy of the yokai next to them, which could be a problem considering your team's strategy. Then there's the poke mechanic, which can help purify your own yokai or reveal the weak points of bosses. Both add another layer of strategy and planning to the fights, while not necessarily making them more complicated. It's a smart change that leads to potentially different tactics. Beyond the combat, Yokai Watch 2 is stuffed to the brim with content. Along with side quests that net you special items and experience for your team, there are yokai spots where you search for special yokai that are hiding, the return of bug collecting and fishing which can be redeemed for items, and Gates of Whimsy, which are small challenges that lead to a special reward. And that's really only scratching the surface. If you want to do it all, there's hours of gameplay here which all interconnects in such a way that you feel like you're making progress most of the time. But I want to emphasize most of the time. You see, Springdale was already a pretty large city with several districts, forest areas surrounding it, and even buildings that could be considered dungeons. But now there's also 3 additional towns that, combined, may be even bigger than Springdale. And that's without including the ability to travel back and forth in time. It gives the game a greater scope, but unfortunately highlights one of its biggest issues. Many of the main quests, and especially the side quests, involve an inordinate amount of backtracking. The game has you running all over town to do one thing, and then return to get news about another task to complete in the opposite direction. It's annoying at first, but when trains are introduced, it's a nightmare. Unlike trains in other games, Yokai Watch 2 doesn't fade to black and have you arrive at the destination. Instead, it shows every single stop. 18 in total, though you'll only have to suffer through 5 or 6 at a time at most. But even that is too many, as the train sequences either show the characters sitting in silence as the background passes by, a battle occurs, or there's a nice bit of character interaction. It's agonizing watching each and every stop go by, and takes way longer than it should. Warp points do come into play eventually, but reaching that point was awful, and the only reason it seems to be there is for a side quest where you visit each station. But as I said, the warp points do help, and the game rewards exploration almost every time. There's just far too much waiting when it comes to traveling early on. And yet there's points where they make simple tasks their own mini-games, such as a timing game to eat your food, or a surprisingly tricky rhythm game. There's variety here, it's just spread out over a world that you have to traverse way too often. Yokai Watch 2 looks good on the 3DS. While the graphics are mostly the same as the first game, there are visual enhancements and a surprising amount of detail to the environments. The map has been improved considerably to be more helpful, and the attacks are impressive and exciting. It all comes together in a great package and a great mood. Each town has its own look, and it succeeds in capturing the feeling of the Japanese countryside or just kids enjoying their summer. The music reflects this pleasant atmosphere with some truly soothing tunes, and the songs beyond that each capture the mood they're going for, whether it's exciting battles or silly pratfalls. There's voice acting as well, which falls into the Saturday morning cartoon variety. It's good, conveying what they need to and going along with the crazy nature of it all. It really does work. Yokai Watch 2 improves on almost every aspect of the original. If you've never played that one and are curious, this is the game to start with. For returning fans, once you get past the introductory chapters, everything begins to click and feel fresh. But there are still aspects that blight part of the experience for me. I like the game, but the constant runaround of many of the quests turn me away, and the difficulty of befriending yokai loses the addictive nature of the experience. But there's a lot of good here, and it's worth checking out if you're interested. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to Game Explained for more on Yokai Watch and other things gaming.